Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Regional Supply Shop Talk. My name is Morgan Lynn. I'm with Epson America. I am the regional account manager for Regional Supply. I'm based here in Dallas, Texas, but I do handle the states of the Western states, and I do have Utah as one of my states that Regional does have. On the phone with us, we have the Epson Technology Center that you do see. We have Tim Check. Tim Check is our product manager. He handles our dye sublimation and direct to garment product. Also with Tim is Paul Morales. Paul is our senior application specialist, and he handles both of those products. So Tim and Paul work hand in hand there in Long Beach, California. This will be coming from you from in Carson, California, at our Epson Technology Center, where we have all our Epson technologies in our large format group. And what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Paul and Tim, and they'll take us through the DTG and dye sublimation products. And if you have any questions, the chat is open, and go ahead and put any of your questions there. We'll try to answer them there. And also, we'll try to bring up some of those questions during our shop talk and have Tim or Paul answer those also. So, Tim, Paul, I'll give it to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Regional Supply, for giving us an opportunity to go through a fun presentation as we get ready for the holidays. We kind of have a little bit of a theme going here. One thing that I just want to highlight right off the bat, we're not looking at doing PowerPoint slides or anything else. I'll talk for a little bit, but Paul, this guy work. So just brief a little bit about what we're covering today. I'm going to let Paul actually run and actually show you how to actually make these products. So we're going to start out first with dye sublimation technology. And a little bit later, probably about 20-25 minutes from now, we'll be getting into what we call direct-to-garment technology. The two of them are generally, people see them as textile products. Dye sublimation gives us a wide range of things we can do on hard goods and soft goods. A key to it, though, is everything needs to have some sort of polyester or polyester coating. And when we get to direct-to-garment, it really loves cotton-based fabrics. It does work with other materials, and we'll cover that in a little more detail when we get to it. So I'm going to start out first, just a little bit about what our dye sublimation product, what we can do with it. So if I can kind of sum it up, dye sublimation is probably one of the most versatile. It's a technology, and so it's not just another type of printer or another, this one can print on vinyl or this one can print on paper. This is really a different type of technology that really, it does some interesting chemistry that happens with sublimation. I'm not going to go into the techie side of covering that today. If you do have questions, though, we'll certainly try to address those as best we can. But the thing I like about dye sublimation is it can do so many different types of products. And what I mean by that is, today we're going to be showing doing things like Christmas ornaments. This is an aluminum metal piece. It's pure white, and then we actually will sublimate and put it in, basically infuse the ink right into this print, or right into this metal, and this is permanently there. So we can make cool little promotional items, gift items. We can do things on fabric, like making custom socks, and a lot of other types of applications. So I'm sure that as you get a little closer to the holidays, and especially as we're starting to get, I know a lot of you like to probably have some great skiing and snowboarding in the area. There's different products that everybody, you want to keep the cold off your neck, things with neck gaiters going on here, a lot of different types of products. These are all sublimated materials. This one is insulated, so putting this on will keep your neck nice and warm without feeling like there's a big, you got a neck brace on where it's really constrictive. This is 100% sublimated, so it breathes, but it also it's fleece, so it still allows you to keep really warm. It's comfortable and extremely lightweight. Certainly get into other types of items where you're doing things like custom mugs, water bottles. Actually, if you don't mind, give me the 75 swell one. The other one. I got a whole bunch of goodies off camera here. As we're kind of getting ready for, not just Christmas, but New Year's that comes with it, also comes with New Year's resolutions. And certainly there's a lot of folks who are going to be looking to get back into the gym and be able to try getting some exercise going. Things like these custom water bottles, they're swell style water bottles that are vacuum sealed, insulated. maybe something with some motivational. You have a picture of the kids on here, or you got a picture of something to aspire to, climbing one of the mountain peaks, maybe an image that you can put on here. Certainly gives people motivation to kind of keep on that treadmill or on that stair climber, keep that going. These products, these are simply things as custom water bottles. These things can easily sell with, depending on the type of artwork or the type of customers you work with, anywhere from $15 to $25, especially when it's personalized, could even be more. The cost of making this is extremely low. I mean, the water bottles themselves range for about, individual sales about $6, $6 to $8, and the printing cost is literally under 10 cents. It's very inexpensive to print this. A lot of good money that's in printing in types of water bottles. Other types of applications, especially it's close to the holidays. I like these ones. My wife likes these actually quite a bit. We go from a custom slipper that has basically just blank, and we can take this front pass off. So we can print completely onto the inside sole, the cushion of the slipper, as well as also the part that overlaps the top. And then we end up with, put that off to the side. And then we can end up with some custom slippers with names or pictures, whichever we want. And these are super soft, they're cozy, they're comfy. They're a great thing in the morning, especially if it's cold and you got hardwood floors. This is a great way to kind of keep your feet warm, but also have something kind of nice to be able to do. With sublimation, these type of products, easily getting products in the 60 to 80% margin range, gives us a lot of capability with what we can do for types of gifts. There's a lot more than we can do than just gifting ideas and promotional items with dye sublimation. I'm not going to try to go through everything today with it, but certainly there is a lot of stuff we can do. And that's where if you have ideas and you're wondering, what could I do something like this using dye sublimation technology? That's definitely a great reason to give us a call. We can certainly help you with that. Our friends at Regional, what is the right type of technology to help you achieve your goal, and also how to help your business grow. So I've done enough talking so far about these things. I think it's more fun to actually see this in action. And with that, I'm going to bring Paul back over into how does this actually work. And let's basically, Paul, if you don't mind, let's show us how we can make some money with dye sublimation. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate the introduction. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today. We're really excited for bringing this presentation to you live here in Carson, California, with all of our great equipment that we have here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start and just kind of go left to right. We'll talk briefly about the printers. We'll get some prints running at the same time. And then we're going to move over to the heat press, and we're going to transfer a couple of things. So I'd like to start with the Surecolor F170 here to my left. So this is a 8.5 by 11 desktop printer. It can also accommodate 8.5 by 14 sheets. And at a relatively low cost, you can bring dye sublimation into literally any scenario. So looking at the prints that we get off of here, this is all on transfer paper that we can transfer to both fabric and rigid materials. For this particular example, we're going to be completing a Christmas ornament. So this is an example of one of the finished ones that we have here that we can actually do two-sided. And because this is a metal ornament, we can actually sublimate both sides at the same time. So I have a blank one right here that we will utilize for this particular print application. So we're going to send some prints, and while we do that, we'll jump over here to the heat press, and let's take a look at how we can do that. So I'm actually going to just move right over here to my side, and I have a heat press ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to just place this down, and we have our print here. We'll be able to fold this in half so that we can get both the top and bottom sides. And what's nice about this is because it's metal, it will keep the heat active on both ends. We're going to press this for just a little bit longer than we normally would. So I've obviously set this up with plenty of print bleed. So as long as I line up my ornament right in the middle, I should have plenty of ink to go around it. And then as we do that, we'll go ahead and fold this paper in half so that we can get both sides done at the same time. So just like that. And then I'll actually flip the paper this way to make it a little bit easier for everyone to see. So I'm just going to line this up. I'm going to place the top half on that end, and then we'll make sure that we still have good alignment before we close the press. So there we go. And so now we're going to press this. It's about medium pressure. We're just under 400 degrees, and our normal pressing time would be roughly about 40-45 seconds. Since I'm doing double-sided and I want to sublimate to both sides at the same time, we're pressing for just a little bit longer, so this is going to be a little closer to a minute in time. So while that's going, I actually have a little heat glove here that I can put on to assist me in removing the item. Everything coming off of the press will be hot, but especially anything metallic in nature is going to be extra hot. So we want to make sure that we are safe and careful in that regard. So we got about 15 seconds to go on this press right here. Now, what's great about the F170 is the paper sheets that come with it can actually be used for both fabric and rigid material. So you don't have to be switching out papers or switching out color profiles or anything like that. You essentially have a one-size-fits-all type of setting. So now that our heat press has completed, we're going to just carefully lift that up. And then I want to just peel this paper back away carefully. And so now we actually have our two-sided print. So here's our first side right here. And then we're going to go ahead and flip it over. So I'm going to grab this with the glove because it's still very hot. So here's our first side right here. And then here's our second side here. So nice and easy. We're able to complete a double-sided print very quickly in just under a minute. The print time was also about a minute time. So we can crank a lot of these out in a very short amount of time with the F170. So great application. This is what the paper actually looks like when we are done here. So we can see we had perfect alignment on both sides, nice ink release from the paper, and we have a good transfer. So at this point, all we have to do is add the ribbon around to it, and then we're ready to go.
That's pretty cool, Paul. That's a really, those personalized Christmas ornaments, something that's unique to people. I mean, easily, products like that can easily sell from anywhere from like $10 to $15, probably even more. You saw everything was involved in it. The printing cost on these is essentially nothing. I hate to say, I mean, it does cost something, but it's minimal. It's just a few pennies. And the metals on that's close to like easily somewhere in the 80-90% margin range. A beautiful product, if you, especially for the gifting ideas. That F170 printer that we were printing these from is really, we're finding customers want to use that for their businesses, but they also sometimes for the larger printers, but even for that smaller printer, they'll use that for home, for even for the crafter in the family. They're looking at those printers and going, hey, this is great. I might just use this for print for my own use because these are cool and I want to give these to my friends and family.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, great tidbits there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to switch back to taking a look at the printer. So I'm going to move over here and we're going to grab our next item that we're going to transfer. And so since we're talking about the holiday season, we have some two-sided socks here that we can also complete. And so for that, we're stepping up to the little bit larger size from the 170. It's Big Brother, the Surecolor F570 printer. So this will accommodate up to 24 inches wide. We can load cut sheets. We can also load 24-inch rolls on here. And same thing on here, the paper that we use on this machine can actually be utilized for both fabric and rigid materials. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut this off, and this has a little sheet cutter built in. Now, both of these printers, by the way, use our refillable eco tank type of technology. So these doors just simply open, and we have a little slot where we can put our ink bottles in, and each ink bottle has its own specific key, so you can't put the wrong ink in the wrong ink compartment. And what's great about that is these come with plenty of ink to get you started and keep you running for a really long time before you have to even refill any of the inks.
Yeah, it's nuts. The printer with itself, if you make coffee mugs and those water bottles, those ornaments, easily anywhere between 15 to 25,000 of those items with the ink comes with the printer. You'll probably have one color go first, but it comes with a tremendous amount of materials to really kind of call it a business in a box. Everything you need to get going right away.
Terrific. Thank you for that, Tim. So we're actually going to do the same process that we did earlier with the Christmas ornaments, only now we are doing it with the socks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my prints and my socks, and we're going to make our way back over to our heat press so we can take a closer look at how we're going to set up this process and the process being complete. So we'll move over here to our left. So what I'm going to start off with is, you can see I have plenty of bleed on my print here. So there's no issue in terms of getting things lined up. So we want to first make sure that we have the orientation that we want for how the sock is going to be worn. So that's going to be this direction. And then I'm going to fold it in half just like I did that last one. And that way we can just top one on top of the other, and we can get both sides simultaneously. So now that we've done that, we're going to grab our socks here. Like I said, we have the orientation where we like, so we're just going to kind of center these out, give us a little bit of space in between the socks. And then now we're going to fold that over. And the pressure that we had for the ornament should work pretty well on the socks, but we're going to add just a tiny bit more since this is fabric. We want to really try and drive that ink into there. Now for this particular press, we don't need to press as long as we did for the other one, this being fabric. So we're a little bit closer to 30 seconds for this particular sublimated piece. But when it's done, we'll be able to take it off, and then we're good to go. So we got about 10 seconds to go for this one. So let me get my heat glove ready. Okay. And so when this side is done, we're actually going to flip it, and then we're going to press it once more to the other side. And so one easy way of doing this is I'm actually going to, of course I say that it's easy, we're going to grab our tissue paper like this, and now I can essentially grab both and then just flip them just like that.
Okay. So just like a pancake, right? Mm-hmm. Nice and easy.
And so now that we flipped that, we'll take care of our other side. And once this side is done, we'll be able to remove the paper and take a look at what we got. So we have socks on here, we've done ornaments, but we're not limited to just those types of items. We showed you some slippers that we did earlier. There's also some great ideas if you wanted to do stockings or different things like that. We have a couple of examples of that as well that can be done. Some items that require multiple presses can be done as well if you have different areas of the item that you need to press. So we have a lot of possibilities. We're kind of just showing you some simplified versions of what we're able to achieve with this. So now that we're done with that, we'll just peel this away. And here we have our double-sided socks. So nice and easy. Wow. And each one of these socks actually has a little slip sheet inside, which essentially acts as a jig to keep everything spread out flat and even, but also allows us to get color essentially right to the edge on either side of this print. And you can see we have no ghosting. Everything is nice and evenly placed on here. And there we have it, our double-sided socks. Quickly and easily done.
Fun part that people will do with, I've seen a lot of these socks will be, people will do would be on the bottom of the sole. So when you have those socks, you can put a nice message on there like naughty and nice, or, you know, if you see this, leave me alone. Different things that people have some fun that they have that you can do all sorts of fun things with those socks. Really, the best part is you can really make a product or make a solution for someone that wants to give it as a gift. It really is a lot more meaningful to the person they're going to gift it to. And that's what's really exciting with the sublimation, is really the creativity that comes with this is really limited only by your own creativity. But I think with that, Paul, thank you very much for giving us a quick overview of actually how we're making some products. I mean, right there, you already made probably a good $50 worth of products in just a few moments. We wanted to see if there's some questions. I know we've got some folks on here that might help us with some of the questions. If there are questions, certainly let's hear them, and we'll just take a few moments, and then we'll switch over to our next topic, which gets us into the direct-to-garment.
Well, we have some questions coming in. We'll just talk briefly about this last printer that we have off to the side, which is the Surecolor F6370. So we're essentially going in order based on size and what needs you might have. So you have 8.5 by 11 sheets. You have up to 24-inch wide rolls here. And then when you get up to the 6370, this will accommodate up to 44-inch wide rolls. Same thing, you can print on rigid or fabric materials, or really anything in between, as long as it's polyester or has a polyester type of coating. And all of these printers right here can work in correlation with each other to produce a lot of these items. So you can essentially put jobs dependent on where it kind of makes the most sense. As you can see what we did earlier, we had some ornaments on the 170, and then we did some socks on the 570. But if we needed to do larger items like blankets or towels or things of that nature, then we can certainly jump up to the 6370. And we also have another great example. Thank you, Tim. We can even do cut and sew applications like these pillows right here. So this is an all-over sublimation that we simply stuff the pillow stuffing inside, and then now we have a sublimated pillow, which is obviously safe to wash and reuse and very durable, lasts a long time. Thank you for showing me that, Tim. And there was actually one other item that I had mentioned earlier that I wanted to show on screen.
This is cool stuff.
And this is kind of one of the really fun items that I like to do here. And that is actually Christmas stockings. Let me hand this one to you, Tim. Now, what's great about this particular item is not only are we transferring to both sides, and we also have our little stocking, but we can also sublimate to the inside of it as well. So this can be something where we turn it inside out, we do our presses on that end, and then we flip it back around and do our presses on this end. And you can see what's nice is we have the ink going all the way to the end, and then we just simply fold this over. And so we have a nice and easy, quickly done stocking, but very high profit margin on these types of items right here. Okay. Very popular.
Okay. I agree. These are cool. They're a little bit different to do, but man, you can get some amazing designs. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're going to switch over to our direct-to-garment side of the products. And so for that, we have a different spot in our room where we're going to be going over to. So we're going to hike over there. We'll just be back in just a second. You'll probably camera-wise already be over there before we start. We mentioned dye sublimation works really good for polyester. The thing is that the process for that ink actually infuses and becomes part of the polyester material. And so that gives us, there's no hand feel to it. You won't feel it at all. You can wash it. You can do a lot of different things with it. It's very durable. You won't even notice the ink because it's part of the fabric. And that gives it like a performance like that fleece neck gaiter. Breathes really well because the coloring that we're doing, the dyeing of that, has no impact on the performance of how that material works. So it's really cool. When we come over to direct-to-garment, this is a little bit different technology. And what this lets us do is, instead of infusing our ink into the material, what we're doing is we're actually putting down our ink down on top of it. And this lets us, we use pigment-based inks, textile pigment inks that are going to stick to this fabric. And a lot of different types of fabrics as well, more than just 100% cotton. It can also work with like tri-blends and some poly cotton mixes, different materials that we use for doing that. But what with this direct-to-garment, the ideal spot here is we're starting with a finished t-shirt basically, and then we can embellish it with any type of graphic or design we want. So for all those car lovers out there, those rat rods, this is a fun type of design that we do. We put down a layer of white, and then we're going to put down our color on top. We can basically do anything, any type of graphic or design. The neat thing is making one of these or 100 of these doesn't really cost any different. So unlike screen printing, where if you wanted to make one or a dozen shirts, it can be really expensive, direct-to-garment gives us the ability to be able to do very short runs very cost effectively with essentially unlimited color range and smooth gradations, a lot of different color tones. If you're working and you're selling products to end users or to customers who have design ideas you want to sell, a lot of shirts will sell easily with direct-to-garment. They have an amazing hand feel. They're really soft. They're super premium feel. These products will generally sell anywhere from $25 to $35, typically as an average selling price for this. If you do wholesale work where you're screen printing and producing a lot of work, and then you're also doing some short run on DTG, it still is very profitable, maybe $10 to $15 of profit per shirt. And that varies obviously depending on who you're selling to, the type of markets, but there is a lot of money in the direct-to-garment business. And while this printer behind me, our F2100, our Surecolor F2100, a lot of people call it our t-shirt printer. It is fun because we can do more than just t-shirts with this, even though that is primarily what everybody's doing with this. But even products like hats, instead of embroidering a hat, we can put on some fun designs, be able to put in graphics and details onto a hat. And there's really good profit in here. A lot of times a printed hat may go for $15. But the cost of actually printing this is only a few, it's less than 25 cents to print it. And the hats are only like $1 or $2 for the hat. So there's actually a lot of profit in hats, even more so than t-shirts. It's there. If you do custom kicks, certainly these, depending on the brand of shoes that you're using, putting in graphics or specialty spots, different areas on the shoes, be able to print onto that, gives us more ideas or more areas that we can produce and print onto garments. And certainly more than just, if you're going to carry all these things around, having a good tote bag to go with it's not a bad idea. Tote bags, customized, personalized, or even if companies are doing this and they want to print onto organic cotton for printing it, they got a nice local grocery store that really is focused on organic foods. Having some products that maybe you can do and produce that type of work for on these type of materials gives us some really fun, different applications, more than just the t-shirt that we can do with these machines. So again, I like to talk a little bit. Certainly we have some fun. As I said, we get kind of closer to New Year's. So you want to get back into that fitness crave, having some fun athletic or some fitness tops, things in here, like don't skip leg day. And there's a nice flamingo that's there, or the avocardio. We have some fun novelty t-shirts that we like to print. And these are great for these type of printers because they're the type of things where if someone wants to go back into, and I don't want to go back to the gym, I need to, but it's one of those things that's in there. If I have something fun to wear, something fun or motivating to get me going, get off the couch and get moving and doing that, I'm more likely to go and do that. And this is where some of these products and these shirt ideas can really give some people either a sense of humor or be able to give them a little bit more motivation to get moving and go and doing what they want to do to hit their New Year's resolutions. With that said, I want to turn this back over to Paul to actually show us, again, how we can make some of these really cool and exciting products using our direct-to-garment technology. It is a different printing process than our dye sublimation. And so without further ado, I don't want to take all of Paul's thunder, so I'm going to let him take over and really take us through how we're going to start making some shirts. So with that, come on back.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate the introduction. And yeah, we're going to do, we'll print a couple of shirts live. We're actually going to start with a white shirt that I have off here to the side. So I'm going to grab that. So we're going to do a couple of designs today. We'll print one on a white shirt. Then we're also going to print one on a shirt with some color. So what's great about these direct-to-garment printers is we can print on virtually any color that we like. When we're not printing with white ink, we actually don't need to pre-treat the garments. We can just load it right in, print with the CMYK inks. And so that's what I'm going to start off with, is showing you how easy we can do a white shirt. So I have a heat press behind me. We'll go to a little side angle so you can see what we're doing here. And main thing that we're going to do when we start off is we're going to press our garment to remove moisture and also to iron out any wrinkles that may be there so that we can ensure that it lays nice and flat and is smooth for the print on top of the platen for this DTG printer. So we don't need to press it for very long. We want to at least give it about 20 to 30 seconds or so. We're at about 340 degrees Fahrenheit for this. That's a great temperature for cotton. We can also do polyesters or tri-blends or 50/50s or really anything in between. So we are right about the 25-30 second mark. So we're going to go ahead and lift that up. And so as you can see here, I have a nice, solid, but flat and smooth area with fibers kind of laying down that we have our shirt ready and we are now prepared to print. So we're going to just move over here to the side and we're going to load our shirt in here. What I love about the platens that we have on these units is they have a hanger. So the hanger makes it very easy for the operator to quickly and easily line up their shirt. So we know that we're not only centered, but we also have everything where it needs to be in order for us to send it. So we've sent a file over from the computer. We're going to go ahead and press this blue button, and then we're going to let it print. And I'll actually step out of the way so we can go back to our other shot so that you can take a look at it. So while that's printing, I'm going to show you what our next design is going to look like. So we have a shirt with some color on it and some white ink that we'll actually be printing next. So I have one that's completed. We will print one live right after this. But while we wait for these prints to go on, I'd like to show you the process on preparing this type of garment to print. So because this garment does not have a white base, we need to print white ink. Therefore, we need to apply the pre-treatment liquid. So I'm going to set this down And we're going to grab another shirt. Do we have the black shirt nearby? There we go. Thank you. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start by just pressing this shirt right here. Same thing, we want to remove the moisture and we want to iron out any of the wrinkles and kind of smooth that out. So we'll go ahead and do that. And so while we wait for that, we have a automated and enclosed pre-treat machine right over here. And so what this machine is for is to evenly apply the pre-treatment liquid onto the garment. I might have a little bit of a wrinkle here, so we're going to make just a small adjustment, and we'll take a look. There we go. So let's get that one going. Okay, so we should be just about ready for this shirt right here. So let's open that up. So now that I've pressed this shirt, I'm ready to apply the pre-treatment liquid to it. So we're just going to let it cool off a little bit, and then we're going to place it on here. What's nice about this machine is we can tuck in the excess material onto the side. So we only have pre-treatment liquid applied to where we are actually going to print the graphic. So we're going to tuck that in. We're making sure that our shirt is laid down nice and smooth on here, and then we'll close the drawer, and then we're going to press the button right here. And so essentially what is inside of this machine is a high volume, low pressure spray nozzle that will actually apply the liquid. Oh, here we go. All right, so that shirt is done. We can take off this shirt that we've applied the pre-treatment liquid to. So there we go. So we're going to go ahead and close this drawer. And what we'll do for now is we're going to set it on the heat press. And we want this pre-treatment liquid to begin curing. So we're just going to hover it right underneath a hot platen like that for a couple of minutes, and we'll get back to that shortly. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to flip around and we'll show you how the white shirt came out. So we have a nice little chinchilla just chilling right here for Christmas. So the white shirts can be done very quickly on the print modes that we're utilizing right now. We'll go ahead and just set this off to the side. Thank you. And so with that, we're going to get our next shirt design ready. So just like the one that I showed you earlier, we're going to load that, and then we'll see how that one looks while we're printing. So I'm just going to grab this shirt over here to the side. Thank you very much.
So the white shirt, well, Paul just handed that shirt over to me. We have a heat press similar to the one that's in use, and we're just pressing that to cure that ink for about 45 seconds at 335 Fahrenheit, and that's going to cause that ink basically to permanently fix to the cotton fabric, so you can wear that for years on end. Everybody wants to be just, you know, chillaxing with the chinchilla. It's kind of fun. So a little bit different, and then I'll get back to you, but it's that shirt, we'll have it done just in a little bit. We'll bring it back out in a few moments.
All right, great. So we're just going to click on our print button here and get that going. And so as we send this print over, we can complete the pre-treated garment that we had began earlier. So that's another nice part about direct-to-garment is you can combine some of these processes together. So you're never at a standstill or at a point where you're kind of waiting for one thing or another to complete. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and send that one in. And so we will take a look over here to the side again. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab a piece of parchment paper. And so the parchment paper is what we will actually use to place on top of the garment over here. So I'm going to give myself just a little bit of a fold here on the front, and then we will slide this drawer out. And we're just going to place this parchment paper on top like so. And then we're going to slide this underneath. And now with minimal pressure, we're going to press this for about 40 or 50 seconds or so. We want to make sure that all of the steam from the pre-treatment liquid is starting to dissipate and kind of go away. And that will let us know that that shirt is ready to print. Now, what most users will do is when they have a lot of items that they need to pre-treat and also print, they will pre-treat in large batches. And what's great about the Epson pre-treatment liquid is you can do this in advance. You can do it a few days ahead of time, weeks ahead of time, even months ahead of time, as long as you store the garments appropriately. And then you can take them out, press them on the heat press for about 10 seconds, again, just to smooth out any wrinkles, give us a nice smooth surface for printing. Then we can take it right over to print. So it's a great option to be able to combine those activities together. Now, what we're looking at right now on the 2100 is we're printing our white base first, and then once the white base is completed, it's going to feed back into the machine and then begin the CMYK color process on top of that. Now, as that's going, this pre-treated shirt is about ready to go. So we're going to lift this up. We can actually use this parchment paper a couple of times, so we don't have to replace it for each and every shirt. And as this garment is done, we now have our pre-treated area that we're ready to print on. So these can be set on a screen printing type of rack, for example, or on some shelves, or even just stacked up with all of the shirts that you need to print so that you have them ready to go and ready to print. And what's nice about this machine is you can literally roll up a cart full of all of the garments that you need to print. You can have somebody sending jobs, whether that be automated or through a hot folder or otherwise. And then all the operator needs to do is just grab the shirt, load it, press the print button, and then when that's done, move on to the next one. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can actually cure the printed garments. And one, of course, would be with the method that we were using today for pre-treating, but we can also use it to cure the printed shirts, and that's just a simple flat heat press right here. But another option that's really popular as well is a conveyor type of dryer. And what's great about a conveyor dryer is when you have a high volume of production, or let's say you're running multiple units and you want to keep the shirts cured and going at a steady rate, the conveyor dryer is a really nice option because we can just drop one shirt on the conveyor belt, keep it running, and then we just keep bringing shirts over. What's great about that is you're not tied down to or having a bottleneck on one heat press waiting for one design to be done before you can switch to the next garment. So now that this one is done, so here's how we look here.
Merry Kiss Moose. I love it.
And at this point, we can essentially just take it over to cure. So we will set it right on top of the platen like so.
Paul, I didn't realize that you were into all the ugly sweater theme type designs and doing that on t-shirts.
Oh yeah, I love it. I got some contests to win at some parties coming up. So the ugly sweater, we got our designs ready to go right here. So as we get that one ready, we're going to grab just one more piece of parchment paper so that we can place on top of this shirt, and then we'll be able to cure that one as well. So we're going to open this drawer up, and we'll just place this on top of here like that. And again, we're using minimal pressure when we get to this point in the process. And so we'll let that cure. So that'll be just a little over 1 minute time until that process is ready. Now, as you can see behind me, we've just done a couple of shirts, but there's a wide variety of items that can be directly printed on or even transfer printed on as well. A great example of another kind of unique item would be what we have looking over to our side. We have a hooded sweatshirt with a front zipper. We can definitely print on that. We can also print on canvas type of tote bags as well. So any cellulose-based fiber can be loaded on here, can have the pre-treatment liquid applied, and then we can print directly onto it. So we have quite a bit of options at our disposal for direct-to-garment, and not limited to just garments. So in talking about the tote bags, I have one over here I can actually show you, and this was done on the direct-to-garment machine as well. And what's nice about this item is you actually get the best of both worlds. You can print on it using the DTG method that we've done right now. You can also sublimate to this. So depending on the type of fabric, you can do one or the other or both, which is great. So I think for high volume of something like this, I would prefer to sublimate. But if I'm doing just a couple here and there as gifts, I think a great idea is to utilize the direct-to-garment because it's quick and easy. Okay, so this one is all done. And now we have this cured, and it's fully ready to wear, to wash, and to reuse for many years to come.
Nice, Paul. So, hey, one thing that I know I saw a question that came in. One of the things is about, we haven't really talked about it too much in here, but was maintenance. And, one of the things that's fun on the dye sub side of the products that we had, we didn't really, pop my head in there. We didn't really even need to talk about maintenance much because the printers really take care of themselves. There's really not much that you need to do as a user. If you happen to see something being a little funny, there's a test pattern that's in there. We'll print a little test strip, tell you if everything's okay. If it doesn't look good, you click a button and the printer will do self-maintenance and take care of itself. It's really simple on dye, so there's not much to it. With direct-to-garment, one of the big things, if any of you have been looking at direct-to-garment but haven't really kind of jumped in, one of the big things that's in here is this textile ink that we're using. Well, it's pigment, a lot of colors. It's basically like printing glue. And maintaining that printer is really important to make sure it's there. And unfortunately, that's one of those areas that the direct-to-garment industry has had a bit of a bad rap for, is that there's so much maintenance involved. What Epson's done with that to really kind of help make life a lot easier is not just print a booklet that tells you what to do. We have the printer takes over and actually does a lot of the maintenance for you. We're the only direct-to-garment printer in the industry that uses what we call as a fabric wiper. So rather than having a squeegee where it wipes the print head and tries to take off all this gunk and build up off that print head, that you have to go in there and manually clean those squeegees regularly. Otherwise, the printer just recontaminates itself. A fabric wiper, it's like a box of tissues. And we like to think of it this way: is every time the printer needs to blow its nose or do something, it can go over, it gets a new piece of that fabric, it wipes the print head or the nose of that printer, wipes that perfectly clean, and so then the printer can keep on going and doing its thing. Whereas a lot of the other products out there are kind of like a handkerchief. The first time you use them is pretty good, but once you get a used handkerchief, nobody wants to blow their nose in a used handkerchief. It's pretty disgusting. So with the fabric wiping system, it keeps the print head pristine, and that really helps keep the whole entire maintenance or system in here well maintained, so that you don't need to be doing maintenance very frequently with it. With this machine, it's about 5 minutes once a week that we recommend. We have a little chart that tells you in here, and it's basically just to check on the state of the printer, how it's going and how it's working. There's a small little cleaning cap over here. Just take and inspect that. And then if you notice there's buildup, that's one of those things that there's some cleanup that you do periodically between suction clap weekly or monthly. And it takes about 5 minutes. So there is maintenance with this, but it's minimal amount to, the printer does take care of itself for the most part. And you only have a minimal amount, a few minutes a week is all that's really needed with this machine. But it's a big part. I know that maintenance is one of those things that we're looking at, because if you're trying to sell a lot of these products and the printers, you're doing maintenance on it, well, that means you're not printing and making money with it. And at the end of the day, that's really what, if you're buying this as an investment for your business, you want to see some return on investment. And with the price of this printer and the cost of these type of garments, typically, this printer, it's somewhere between 1,000 to about 1,500 shirts. It pays for itself. And so if you're in that type of business, if you run it 500 shirts a month, maybe a few months till you can break even. If you're doing 1,000 shirts or 2,000 shirts a month, you can break even pretty really quick. Obviously, it depends on who you're selling to and the prices that you charge, and what your market will allow you to price those products at. But these printers really do take care of themselves, and makes it where it's a great complement to any type of, if you are a screen printer, this is a great way to add in some low volume, be able to do low volume work profitably, as well as also do really unique designs that are more than just a few colors. You can have basically unlimited color range that you can do so much with, that really makes the product stand out and you can get more of a value for. I'm not sure if you want to add anything more, but otherwise we can jump to some questions.
Yeah, I did want to add a couple of things, but coincidentally, the points I was going to discuss have actually been asked in some of the questions. And by the way, thank you everyone for contributing to that. I see the comment section has been pretty lively in there. Morgan's been doing as best as he can, getting all those answered, but we'll go ahead and answer some of these questions live. So a couple of questions that I saw earlier, one in particular was what resolution are we printing at? Well, this particular printer, we can print up to 1440 DPI, but we also have higher speed modes or draft modes, or even modes that you might use for different designs. Say if you were printing a vintage type of design, you want a little bit faster speed. You have a lot of options at your disposal, and printing at minimal would be 720 DPI print resolution, but you can go up to 1440, and there's quite a bit of options in between there. So really good question there. Another question I saw that came in was, what does the DTG print feel like? What is the actual feel for the garment? Now, What's nice about this is the ink is actually in the fibers of the shirt. So unlike a screen print or a heat transfer from another printer where you might almost seem to feel like there's a decal stuck on the shirt, this doesn't feel that way at all. It feels very natural, especially after it's been washed. You almost can't tell that there's anything on there by just feel and touch alone. Now, when we're printing on black shirts, we have a garment black mode in the software, which is very handy if we want to basically keep the most natural feel of the garment as possible. Thank you, Tim. And so this is an example of our garment black mode. And what this mode is actually doing is it's actually seeking out anywhere in our file that has 100% black, or if we have a RGB file 000 black. And instead of printing black ink or a 4-color mixture of black ink, it will actually knock that out and will let the garment be the place of that heavy black ink. So, for example, if I'm looking inside this little screaming baseball right here, right inside the baseball's mouth, there's actually no ink right there. This is the black from the shirt. So not only is it improving the overall feel of the garment, it's actually lowering the ink cost a little bit too. And the other benefit of this is if you have several different hues of your black shirt, now you don't have to have separate files and color correct to make sure everything looks neutral with the shade of black that you're working with. Simply utilizing this mode, everything's going to look the way it's supposed to on that particular hue of black. So hopefully that answered the question pretty well in terms of the feel of these garments. Again, all of these are very, very soft to the touch. Feels almost like a bare shirt, if you will, but we have some custom printed graphics on there as well. So another question that I saw that came in, what is the cost to refill the inks on the Sublimation printer? Well, there's actually a couple of them. If we're starting with the F170, so the F170 printer actually comes with a full set of ink included in the printer that should last you upwards of a year or more, depending on how much you're printing. They're relatively low cost. If you wanted to add into that as well.
Yeah,
Tim?
I mean, the 170 and the 570, they both use these bottles. They're 140 milliliter ink bottles, and the price on those run about $25 for a bottle, a little under $25. So if for a lot of users, depending on if you're making on the F170, if you're printing 5,000 coffee mugs, that's about how much you can get out of a set of inks. That initial set. And so if you're doing that, it might be, okay, there's 5,000 mugs. You may put another set of inks in there. And again, it's under $100 for a full set of ink to replace that. The printer does come with a full set of ink. So not only does it fill up the printer's ink tank, there's actually more in those bottles where you can fill it up about 2.5 times. So we do include a lot of materials in with the printer, so that, one of the biggest challenges we've heard from a lot of customers is they have ideas, but every time they click print, it costs so much that they don't want to take a risk on just trying ideas. And we try to eliminate that basically by making it where every time you click print, it really doesn't cost you. It costs you really next to nothing in terms of doing it, where it's not cost prohibitive to try and really see what your creativity can do. Because it's someone, there's different strokes for different folks, as they like to say. And some people are really into chinchillas, and you may have a chinchilla shop with all sorts of designs. It may not appeal to everybody, but to those chinchilla lovers, they're going to absolutely love it, and probably you might be able to get a premium for it. And if you wanted to go and try out different designs, it doesn't cost you a whole lot to try that, which is the exciting part with dye sublimation.
Oh, terrific. Thank you, Tim. I do want to point out one thing that Eric also mentioned in the chat from Regional Supply is they will be having an open house coming up where they will be displaying the Surecolor F170 printer that we utilized earlier, as well as the F2100 direct-to-garment printer right here. So Eric put in some information in there on how you can kind of sign up and get going on that, and that way you'll be able to see those things in person. So take a look in the comments section right now. It's one of the more recent comments on there. There's a little link there as well for you to request a time. So we certainly encourage you to do so, especially if you have some of your own custom designs that you want to see printed, see how it looks, and maybe see up close and personal how quick and simple the process is. Because as you can see with what we did today, it's very quick and easy to get started with little to no experience and jump right in and be able to make a great sellable graphics at a very low cost to you. So thank you, Eric, for putting that in there as well. And just kind of sifting through to see if we have any more questions. If there are any other questions, we'll be ending this seminar in just a few minutes here. But if there's any other questions that anybody has, you want to put in the comments in there, whether it's on direct-to-garment applications or on the sublimation stuff that we did earlier, please do so now. Okay, so we do see one more question. Yeah, sorry, Morgan, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
No, you can see that question from Guzzler. Pressure required for sublimation, will a vacuum table with 15 PSI cut it?
15 PSI might not be enough for certain items. It really depends on what it is. Obviously, if you can apply a little bit more pressure, the better. 15 might work okay for certain types of fabrics, but for rigid materials, you definitely want to have more pressure so that you can really ensure a flat and even sublimation, and where you also don't have any cool spots anywhere on the item right there.
Just to add to that, if the one of the things when I've heard that question, it could be wrong, but we usually want to hear vacuum presses. Usually it's talking about people doing face mount acrylic type photo applications, fine art. You may want to double check with that. A lot of times those type of press heat systems, while they're good for that optically clear laminates to be able to do that mounting, they don't have the heat. They don't retain the heat level needed to get to that 400 Fahrenheit and hold it there for that that level. So you may want to double check before you kind of go big on anything to see. A lot of times the heat presses that we're using for t-shirts or for doing sublimation, there's a lot of well-known brands like Insta, Geonite, Stahls, Hottronics, what do you call it, Hicks, Practics, a lot of different good brands, US brands that make good quality products in a whole wide range of budget ranges and stuff that's in there. Just want to make sure that you use the right type of equipment for it. If it's one of the ones that are for doing face mount acrylic for photo, a lot of times that's more for like lamination mountings and stuff. Those haven't usually worked out so well. So just double check with that, and you know, we can certainly give you materials to try that with before you go in and you know, go big on something and find out you don't have the right material or right equipment to finish it.
Yeah, Leslie said she had a Neoflex DTG and it was a nightmare. So this looks so much better. She'd be astonished that she doesn't have to do a white ink flush every month.
All right, so again, we want to thank everybody for joining us today on today's webinar, giving you a quick overview on dye sublimation applications as well as direct-to-garment applications. We certainly thank everyone for joining us today. We will catch you on the next one. Thank you again. So for Mr. Tim Check, our product manager, and Morgan Lynn on the other end, and also Megan as well. I'm Paul Morales. We'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we hope you have a wonderful and safe holiday season. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Paul.